body, all these systems has to be in place. A body is an integrated system. It has to be in place. All systems has to work in sync so that we have a healthy body and a healthy brain and a healthy mind, so that we learn what we need to learn. Now, just to break down on the point, uh, maybe 30 years back, 40 years back, one child out of 2000, 3000 would be diagnosed with ADHD or autism or ASD. Only one child in 2000. But if we today look at the statistics, it's almost one child in 150. So it's multifold. The problem has gone haywire. Okay, it's exponentially growing. Now more children are being getting diagnosed with the problem. Now, in the past, we were told, even we read in our books that it is a parenting problem, and sometimes we are told it is a genetic problem. Okay, so we always we are it sometimes we are very experts at giving the reasons why there's a problem, and sometimes we fail to give the answers to the problem, why it is happening. So the good news is, or for our parents, only there are very small percent of these children actually have a genetic problem. That may be from 10 to 15%. 80 to 85, or little more here and there, numbers can be different, but those children actually they were born normal. There's no genetic problem in them. Maybe a small snip might be there, but it's not actually a full-blown genetic problem which is causing them the trouble of or learning disabilities. So as per functional medicine, as per the work we do, as per the results we see that autism or ADHD or any related issue is actually a whole body disorder. Now, if stomach is not working properly, it can impact the mind. If gut microbiome is not healthy, the bacteria in the gut is not healthy, it can impact the brain. It can impact the learnings. If our body has lot of toxins, it can impact the brain, and our children start throwing the symptoms of various kinds of symptoms. Some maybe learning disabilities, some maybe a speech delay, some maybe a development delay, some may be ADHD kind of symptoms, aggressive behaviors, just because the body is not healthy. Now, when the body is not healthy, this is where the problem comes in. So it's not the problem in the brain, it's actually a problem in the body, which is impacting the brain, and the brain is throwing the symptoms. So we sometimes in this, so there are two kind of therapies today that are available. One is outside therapies, which is all behavioral therapy, OT, different kind of external therapies, which is good. But it's also important that we do an inside out treatment. We try to find why our child is having a specific issue, specific behavior, specific learning disability, and what we can do from inside to fix that. Just just people give a little more understanding of the problem. Toxicity is one major issue in these children. We always see their eye on aluminium, mercury, arsenic, lead, strontium, very common things that we find there in the blood work or hair sample analysis. We sometimes see that these children were all fine when they were born. Over a period of time, then all of a sudden some vaccinations were given and then they started having the problem. Sometimes antibiotics, they have a viral fever or something, they were given antibiotic shot, and they started having a problem. Now, one sort of antibiotic, poor antibiotic don't know what's the good bacteria into the stomach, what is the bad bacteria. Now it kills all of them. Now when the good bacteria is less, the bad will start growing. That will also lead to a overgrowth of the fungus into the yeast growth, overgrowth into the stomach. Now, yeast overgrowth can cause toxins and the microbial balance. As a consequence, there's an inflammation in the body, and same inflammation start rising into the brain also, which is called neuroinflammation. That same inflammation can cause our children with all various symptoms, and with based on the symptoms and the kind of different diagnoses are made. Okay, now symptom cannot tell what is wrong inside. With the symptoms, we can always make a diagnosis. Now, somebody has a speech delay, for example. We always see these children are low on proteins, they're low on healthy fats, they're low on B complex. There are multiple other imbalances also. Now, when the body don't have the raw materials to make the brain, to make the new connections, how do we expect them to learn new things? How do we expect them to speak when they don't even have the raw material for their own system? Now, with all these conditions, their gut, their stomach, their intestines become more permeable. That means when our stomach is supposed to get nutrition from our intestines into the blood. Now, when that same gut, which also works as a filter mechanism, becomes more leaky, the holes in the gut becomes more bigger. That can cause lot of inflammation. Certain types of foods like gluten, caseins, they can cause a lot of trouble to our gut microbiome. They can cause the gut leaky. They can sometimes act like opiate also. Okay, so brain is just a downstream of the problems that are there in the body. Opioids from the gluten, nutrient deficits, toxicity in the body, inflammation of the brain, and undermethylated neurotransmitters or any toxins from the east, they can cause the inflammation in the brain and symptoms of ADHD, ASD, different kind of variety of names are given. So now somebody asked why, what are the reasons of the problem? Of course, we'll get into more detail of it, but now you can imagine, if most of these children have a poor digestive health, this is the starting point of their problem. So we just discussed, it's not always the genes are the problem. It's actually an environmental issue. Genes plus the environment makes the manifestation, the outcome. Now, outcome can be healthy body, can be unhealthy body, right? So genes remains the constant. What is changing is the environment, right? Now, genes load the gun, but environment pulls the trigger that leads to manifestation. So if we make sure that our environment is good, then our body can be healthy. So have a healthy body, we need to have a right immune system, right digestive system, and right detoxification system. We always see that children have a high heavy metal into them. Of course, not all of them, but most of them, they have a high heavy metal into them. Sometimes we are living in this environment which is toxic across, water, food, air, everything is toxic. Now, invariably, we are taking a lot of toxin into our system. But if our detoxification mechanisms are good, at least we are able to throw the toxins out of our system, and that is not impacting us in any way physically. But when the detoxification abilities are poor, this is where the trouble comes in, especially for these children. A little more on what are the more reasons of autism, ASD, ADHD, and all that. Oxidative stress, major reason. Dysbiosis. Dysbiosis nothing but basically our stomach has lot of bacteria into it. Okay, fungus, viruses, and all that. Now, when the good guys are less, the bad guys are more. This is where the problem comes in. Similar kind of situation start getting into the small intestines, that is called SIBO. Food intolerances or food sensitivities. This is another part of the issue. Parasitic infection. We commonly see that these children have a parasite overload of parasites into their gut. These children have high histamines. That means they're allergic to certain foods. Low glutathione production. Their cells or their mitochondria cannot make the glutathione. As a consequence, they cannot cleanse their system. As a consequence, toxin burden goes up. As a consequence, their genes, which can be normal otherwise, they start throwing the symptoms to them. Very commonly, we see these children have low vitamin D. Very important for us. An easy test we can do, just check your child's vitamin D, see where it is. One thing, it shows that your child, if vitamin D is low, your child is not getting enough sunlight. Second, he is toxic to the blue light, the artificial light. He's always under artificial light. Now, these two things, lack of sun, overexposed to the artificial light. These two conditions are very common seen in ADHD children. Now, very simple thing you can do for your children is just put them under more sun avoid the artificial light, you will see that his symptoms are improving without a problem. If a mother is pregnant and mother don't have enough nutrition, that can also put a child into the problem. If a mother is exposed to a lot of artificial radiation, electromagnetic field, or toxins into her system, that can put the child into the problem. If the nutrition is not getting into active form, let's folate is something we get from the food, which is B9. It has to get converted to methyl folate. If that methylation is not happening, that is also another problem. Detoxification, mitochondrial function. Every cell has 500 to 5,000 mitochondria. Of course, some of the cells maybe have more, but brain cells and heart cells are more mitochondria. Now, it is being recognized as most of these autism, ASD conditions are actually mitochondrial problems. Either number of mitochondria in the cells is less, or they are not doing the right job. But the good news is most of these factors can be modified, can be worked upon. Now we work on these issues, then the symptoms that a child is throwing, they can slowly come down. Eventually, most of the cases, a child can become absolutely normal. But it's not about claiming some big things, but it's all about helping the child get better in their learnings and they can adapt in the society. That's all the goal is. But most of the cases, we also see that they can become normal. Of course, it takes time. We have to give the child enough time. So in functional medicine, there are enough evidences available today that the child has become absolutely normal as well. So let's understand what are the different reasons why our own uh, a child getting into this problem. Why? What is the reason? Little more into detail. Like I said, our stomach, of course, our complete body has bacteria over it or viruses over it, but stomach hosts a lot of almost for an adult there are about 2 kilograms of bacteria or fungi into our stomach. They're doing a lot of good things for us, lot of good things. Now that is called gut microbiome. Okay, now when this gut microbiome is out of place, that means when there's more of unhealthy bacteria and less of good bacteria. This is called dysbiosis. This imbalance of the bacteria that can cause a lot of trouble for our any person, and especially in a child, because unhealthy bacteria will produce a lot of toxic elements and that cause inflammation. Same inflammation cause inflammation in the brain, and the inflammation in the brain will cause the symptoms. Inflammation in the intestines. Okay, we always see these children have a poor stomach health. Somebody is constipated, somebody is having diarrhea, somebody have passing a lot of gases, but which are very foul gases. That means lot of fermentation happening into their system. Okay, same producing a lot of toxins. Same inflammation that starts in the gut start affecting the brain. Now body is a connective organ. We cannot see the body into isolation. We have to see the body in a holistic way. We have to see what organ is not working well, what is working well, and how do we fix the complete system. If only we can complete the fixed system, our brain can work well. If that doesn't happen, we are always in a trouble. Most of the time, like I mentioned, these children always deficit. Very common: vitamin D, B3, B7, B9, B12, magnesium, zinc, iron, proteins. Very essentially, they don't even have the basic building blocks in their body. Sometimes these children are allergic to certain foods. Now it is very important for parents to understand, if a child is allergic to certain food, or he doesn't want to eat that food, he doesn't accept it, or after eating that food he feels more angry, he's more anxious, he's more troubled, please don't feed the food which he's allergic to. Okay, allergies doesn't only means that you have to sorry, that you have to see a rash on the body. Even if he's getting agitated after eating certain foods, that means that food is not good for him. So please stop feeding the food which is bad for them. Now, accumulation of xenobiotics. Xenobiotics nothing but a toxic that we keep accumulating into our system after eating certain foods. Now, most of the time we see all our children they have a problem, but we are feeding them plastic packaged foods, all sort of biscuits, all sort of kurkure, chips and all that, all the ice creams, everything that is coming into plastic. Now, it's not that only food out of that those packages we are eating. We are also eating the plastics out of it. The same plastic start accumulating into our body. It becomes neurotoxic. It also becomes immunotoxic. Our immune system getting affected by it. As a consequence, there is a problem in the form of symptom. Okay. Now, symptoms are not the problem. It's an underlying problem which is giving the symptoms. It's all about finding what is the problem within that each individual body, and what all things we can do to ensure that problem is taken care. As a consequence, symptoms will come down, or eventually in some cases they will be completely gone. Hope this is giving parents some good information that what is possibly going wrong, or what are the things they should be improving on to improve their child's health. So अगर हिंदी में बात करना है तो पेट में अच्छा बैक्टीरिया होना ज़रूरी है। पेट में इन्फ्लेमेशन कम होना चाहिए, पेट अच्छा रहना चाहिए। स्टमक हेल्थ इज़ क्रिटिकल फॉर ब्रेन डेवलपमेंट फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस। बच्चे के लिए तो और भी ज़्यादा है। बच्चे के अंदर एटलीस्ट जितना भी रॉ मटेरियल है, अगर एक गाड़ी है उसमें 4 पहियों में हवा होनी चाहिए, उसके इंजन में ऑयल होना चाहिए, उसके टैंक में ऑयल होना चाहिए, तभी वो गाड़ी चल पाएगा। सिमिलरली ह्यूमन बॉडी, अगर बेसिक रॉ मटेरियल ही नहीं है, अगर हेल्दी प्रोटीन नहीं है, हेल्दी फैट नहीं है, माइक्रो न्यूट्रिएंट्स, बिग मिनरल्स, विटामिन्स नहीं है, हाउ डू वी एक्सपेक्ट कि अपना बच्चे का हेल्थ अच्छा रहेगा? हाउ डू वी एक्सपेक्ट कि वो सीख पाएंगे? तो दिस इज इम्पॉर्टेंट अपने को एज अ पेरेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड क्या क्या गलत हो जाता है। You can correlate whatever I'm saying, because most of the time we see these children have these problems. So functional medicine approach, basically now it boils down to not to give them the drug, not to symptomatically suppress what is their issue, but actually finding in each individual unka under what is the problem inside of them, which is impacting their brain chemistries and leading to the symptoms. Now, if we solve the problem, the brain chemistry will be solved. As a consequence, symptoms of whatever symptom may be there, but all of them will be sorted out. Of course, see, depending on the severity, it takes time. Hum, to धीरे धीरे उसको improve होना है, but we really has to find what is it in each individual, what is the problem in them. So it might be giving you hope now, right? What is the reason, and how do we solve that? Little bit now we can get into little more details of it, so that you get after the end of this webinar, you're more aware, you have more options to choose from. Like I said, nutrition is the key. We are what we eat. If anything is missing, even one component is missing for our cell, for our mitochondria, it will not function. When it does not function, this is where any chronic problem comes to our body. Any problem does not come without a reason. There has to be reason behind the problem. Now, very common deficiencies we see: vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, selenium, amino acids. Amino acids means proteins. Fatty acids, very important. Okay, we always see these children have a poor omega 6 to omega 3 ratio. Okay, they are eating more omega 6, but they're not eating omega 6, or in some cases they're not even eating enough healthy fats. 60 to 80% of our brain is actually fat. Okay, of course with the fat they have made us neurons and all that, but fat is the building block for that. So if we don't have enough healthy fats, we cannot expect the brain to function. Zinc is very low in these children sometimes. Iron is another problem. Folate, magnesium, phospholipids, vitamin B6, vitamin, this is a very common thing we see into these children. Another issue, very important: if we are running a diesel car and we start feeding let's say petrol to it, can we expect the car to function well? Same is the problem with the child or a human body, or any human body, be it an adult or we as humans are not we are not supposed to be eating genetically modified foods. But the most of the foods that are being fed to us or our children are genetically modified. Wheat is one genetically modified food, dairy is another one, soy is another one. These are the commonly eaten foods. Just imagine a diesel car fed with petrol, or vice versa. How do we expect that our body will function well when we don't even feed the body with the right things? Then comes a food allergy. Sometimes, allergy means a visible reaction on the skin, or some other visible things. But sometimes these allergies can be just more of a sensitivities. They're not even allergies. So it can be from the egg, fish, walnuts, shellfish, peanuts, etc. So we have to find for our each individual child what is the specific food giving them the trouble. If any food, as a parent, you find that it is not suiting them, please don't feed them. Now, food should be healing for us. Food should not be negative for us. Okay, food should help us to build a good body. But if we're feeding something which is not healthy for us, which is trouble for our child, what is the point of feeding such a food? Sometimes we see, mother is always anxious, oh, my child is not eating, my child is not eating. And sometimes, with these children also becomes very smart. They start crying if we don't give them a sugar or a candy or a chocolate or ice cream. Now we know that sugar, candy, ice cream is a bad product for the child. It will mess up their immune system, it will mess up their gut microbiome, it will cause inflammation, it will cause their learning disabilities. So what is the point of feeding certain foods which is more of a problem than any good? Now, just little bit more on the leaky gut, which we covered in the earlier section also. Now, our stomach is designed to break down the food and get the nutrition, and through the intestine it goes into the blood. Okay, this is the design, the natural design of it. Now, when this stomach, this intestine becomes leaky, which means there's a barrier breakdown. Okay, now, instead of getting only nutrition, we start getting bacterial byproducts. We start getting undigested foods into the bloodstream. This is where the immune system is lying. Now when they see this all unnecessary things, they start causing a lot of inflammation, lot of pain, lot of trouble for the child. Now, same inflammation cause of inflammation in the brain, which is called neuroinflammation, which is giving this trouble. So what are the things that are giving the trouble? Gluten can be one thing. Barley, rye, some other grains. Of course, we have to see is some of the grains, which we otherwise consider healthy, are a trouble to a child. So we have to find out and accordingly take action. Another thing that we also commonly see in these children, their autoantibodies also present. Now they might not be very high, but they have started building some level of autoantibodies. Now, when as a human we eat something which is very non-native to us, which is a hybrid food. Now, any new protein we take, our immune system makes an autoantibody. Now, because of similarity of the new protein that is being taken and the similarity of the proteins either in the brain or somewhere else, same antibodies start attacking our own self, which is called autoimmunity. So we always see these children have some level of autoimmunity developed in them. So it's all about the levels of inflammation, how much destruction is going on into the system. It's important that we avoid anything which is triggering inflammation. Now, so far we always thought about brain to gut access. That is, brain is only affecting our gut. But at least recently it is becoming more known in the science that gut is also affecting the brain. A happy hormone which is called serotonin. Okay, 70% of that is actually produced in the gut by the gut bacteria. Now that can keep you down, happy. That can keep you more calm. Now, when our gut bacteria is not healthy, we don't have enough good bacteria into our stomach. We don't produce enough good quality neurotransmitters which are required to function in the brain. And now you can imagine how much if a child with a poor stomach health, That is, this is the reason for their autism or ADHD or other troubles. So it is important that we make sure the gut is healthy to make the brain healthy. Now, to have a healthy body, so there is no gray area there. If we have a healthy body, all organs has to function or all systems has to work in sync. Then only we can expect that it is a right system. Well, what are the different things which sort of disrupt the function of a healthy digestive system? Antibiotics, acid blockers, gluten, painkillers, steroids, overuse of laxative for children, especially high sugar diets, if any allergies, or a lot of food which is processed and junk, which doesn't have any nutrition value into it, which is more of a trouble to the system. That can cause a trouble to the digestive system. That can cause in turn problem to the body or to the brain. Now, endocrine system is also very important for us. For any individual, we always see either their testosterone is high or low or other hormones out of place. Okay. Now, it is also important that we make sure that these systems are into place so that their brain can function well. Body lotions can be a problem. Sunblocks can be a problem. Pesticides, plastics, all sort of industrial household chemicals that is used for the cleaning purposes, or if a food product which is animal meat but it is not organic, which is fed with lot of antibiotics, which is fed with lot of hormones. Now anything which is not good for our system, anything which is a negative food will impact the complete body. It will not only that limited to specific organs. So this can help parents understand what is wrong and what has caused the trouble to the child. Very important, very important. All our most 90% of the children, I would say, that we see, they are always dehydrated as per the blood markers. Okay, the hematocrit is high, their other markers are high for the which tells us they're dehydrated. When I ask the parent, they say my child is actually drinking more water. Now this is surprising, right? They're drinking enough water but they are still dehydrated. That means the water that is being given to a child or any at the families they're drinking, that is not even the kind of water that we should be drinking. Ideally, the water has to have a structure. Now, left side image you see is a cluttered water. The right side you see the structured water. Okay. Now, water, if it has to function into a body, uh, 60 to 80% our body is water. Okay, so it has to be right quality water so that it can function, it can do the job what it is supposed to be doing into the body. Now if we don't feed ourselves or our child with the right quality water, how do we expect that the body to function well? Very important. Nobody is talking about it this too, but I can tell you, even in this lockdown, more people, more children are getting diagnosed with especially ADHD. Or of course, they were doing well before that, and then all of a sudden they stopped losing their skills because they are getting more exposed to this non-native electromagnetic field. Now, what is that? This is a Wi-Fi, which is actually a microwaves. There's a cellular network. There's an artificial blue radiation coming from the tube lights, from the mobile screen, from the TV screen. All the electronic machines also have their electromagnetic field, which is impacting our mitochondria. Now, all this negative kind of radiation, they damage our neurological system, they damage our immune system, they make the cellular health, the mitochondrial health, they bring it down. Our own repair mechanism becomes very poor, and brain function becomes poor. So just to give you a number, because numbers are helpful to put the things into perspective. A 6-year-old child's body absorbs more radio frequency radiation from a cell phone or other wireless device than a person in their 20s. So our children, which are born into this era, they are more at risk for this non-native electromagnetic field. Now, sometimes, as a mother, you want to make sure that your child is eating. So you have a phone in front of them and you're feeding them. But this phone, which is an electronic device, it has an electromagnetic field which is impacting the child. Then the screen, which is emitting a lot of blue radiation getting into their eyes, that is also affecting the child. Now imagine how much damage knowingly, unknowingly we doing it, doing to a child, and then we are clueless what is happening, why our child is not behaving properly, why our child is not developing properly. These are the reasons. Now, just simple, ask yourself, is your child getting whatever required for the body to develop? Or is there any hindrance or anything which is a trouble? Which means, is the child have enough nutrition, have enough proteins into it, have fats into it, or the, any micronutrients, or anything which is hindrance, going a hindrance to their functionality, which is maybe heavy metals, maybe electromagnetic field which is not native to us, or lack of sun. So just ask that question to self. If you can get that answer maybe properly, this is where we can start working on to make sure that your child becomes healthy. Now, hope we have covered a good information for you. A little more, what is the solution? How do we fix the problem? We have to start testing the toxins, and we have to start removing the toxins. We have to know what is deficit. We have to feed enough what is required into the body. If inflammation, which is very common in most of the cases, these children should not have any inflammation. Even mild inflammation is required for the repair processes, but too much inflammation, the CRP, when it becomes very high, this is where the brain becomes into trouble. We have to ensure that the stomach, the gut microbiome in the stomach is healthy. Okay, so hope as parents you are able to get a lot of information out of this webinar. Now, of course, Ayush can take care of the next part of the session.
All right, sir. So yes, I mean, thank you for being very attentive and very supportive, and to an extent contributive as well. So, so we will be sharing clues about how we can help and various other things. But before we start doing that, sir, I had one small little request. If we can take one example of, let's say, some of the things, one of the things which many of the parents they are suffering from as regards their child is speech. So many of the parents they report that speech is a problem with their child. So that's something we have heard many times. So maybe if you can share your thoughts on that a little bit.
Right.
What could be the contributing factors and
Right.
how potentially we can address them?
So basically, the question lies into the answer lies in the question whether our child is getting enough of the material which is required to develop the right brain, the new connections. So basically, every time, even a child or adult, we learn new things. There's something called neuroplasticity. We always make new connections into the brain. Okay, new synapses into the brain. Now, when we don't even have the raw material to make a new connection, how do we expect to learn, and how do we expect to speak up those things what we have learned? So, if we start working on this underlying problems, as a consequence, whatever the demands of the body are met, then it'll happen that these children will learn new stuff, and they will start speaking up. Of course, depends on what is the severity. Most of the time they have done their testing and all that, which is the beta testing to see the conductivity and all that. That's all normal. There is no gross anomaly into these children. And in these cases, when we find that there's no gross anomaly, there's always a chance to improve their health.
Right. So now coming to how the program is and how we can probably help you in a structured manner. We'll come to the costs and everything much later, but costs are secondary, I suppose. Most important thing is to help you understand, what exactly we are trying to do and how we are trying to achieve it. So basically, we are talking about a 3-month approach through functional medicine, wherein we are trying to understand your child from inside. So there is one very common question that I get very often from people when I go ahead and speak with them. By the way, I would request everyone amongst you, whosoever, we'll answer all the questions, but whosoever has any interest in the program or has any queries, please throw your numbers in the group chat so that we can reach out and guide you towards, whenever we do reach out to you. So please share your phone numbers in the group chat. If anybody has a privacy concern, you can share with me, Yellow Squash, those IDs privately as well. So please go ahead and do that. Now, coming back to the program, we are talking about a 3-month program. We are talking about two very, very important, significant components. One is treatment. The treatment is completely and deeply personalized. The second is community support or community engagement. Now, that is very, very important, again, to help you create that kind of controlled environment which is necessary for any kind of treatment to work out in the right direction and in an effective manner. Now, talking about specifically treatment, we are talking about a 3-month approach, right? So we are going to start with filling in a very detailed information sheet. It will take more than an hour for you to fill it in. We'll collect all the reports from the past and current and so on. We'll try and understand through you the best we can about your child. Basis the detailed information that we collect and all the reports that we collect from you, we'll prepare a case sheet, and after that we'll find out the loopholes wherein we want to complete the picture. Basis that, we'll go for a detailed testing. You don't have to worry about testing and so on, because the guy would be sent to your home. So he'll collect samples from the home itself. Nobody has to walk out and things like that. None of that is required. We'll receive the tests, and basis those tests, we'll complete the file of the child, and we'll do a root cause. Dr. Ashwini will do a root cause analysis and thereby come up with a POA, or which is plan of action. Now, then after that, there would be an explanatory call with the parents to help you understand in a very simple language what are the different kinds of ailments or different kinds of complications identified with the child. And thereafter, we would help you understand what are we going to do in order to cure it. Now, there are two elements to the cure. One is diet, the other is nutraceuticals. Now, again, what are nutraceuticals? Nutraceuticals are different compounds which the body naturally produces. Any kind of chemical is not going to work out. Obviously, there are side effects and other things, but other than side effects, it is not going to work out because it is not going to train your body to start responding in a natural fashion, in an optimal fashion for a normal child. So the idea is to have a treatment, understand the root cause, create a treatment, help you deliver it by producing a controlled environment through diet and other environmental factors, and go for the treatment through supplementations or nutraceuticals, all of them natural with obviously no side effects. Now, basis this, we'll start the implementation as I spoke of. Now, month 1 is going to be critically important for the parent because the parent has to be extremely contributive to us. The parent would be directly connected with Dr. Ashwini Garg over WhatsApp. So you can share your understanding about, how the child responded to a particular day. On every day, every second, third day, fourth day basis, you must share your information about the child with us so that we can have a very, very conclusive grasp about the root causes, and we can finalize the approach as soon as we can. So alongside, there are several other things. We'll come to that. But the idea of month 1, which is completely personalized, this entire treatment part is completely personalized. So that is to have a control on going into the right direction. Now, month 2 and month 3 are about implementation and getting results. So there would be a realignment call in the beginning of both the months, and we'll try and assess if we had to walk about 100 meters in terms of, what are the ailments and what is the approach decided. We have walked around 20. What does the rest of 80 look like? So that kind of a discussion would happen. And towards the end, we also may go for a retesting so as to have a before and after comparison and help you understand what you need to do after those 3 months as well. So all of this support through a doctor and through a WhatsApp and a community, etc., is continuous in nature. If required, there would be a behavioral expert or some kind of a therapeutic support as well. Now, as I explained, the entire support mechanism, the follow-ups, the realignments, everything personalized, and retesting happening after 3 months, and support being continuous through WhatsApp. The second part, community engagement, is also very important because we are talking about creating a country. It's very easy for a doctor or any expert to say, there are 50 things you need to do and there are 100 things that you do not have to do. You have to stay away from. But creating that environment for a special child is very difficult, which is why we would be having a WhatsApp group for all the members who join us, etc., and educator community and Dr. Ashwini Garg and his support team and so on. All of this in one single WhatsApp group, and we would be sharing and learning from each other, etc. Everyone learns from each other. Everyone is, swimming and sinking in the same boat, so to speak. And this environment will give you the tools and tips required to be effective. Now, alongside, there are going to be 8 classes as well. 4 of them in the first month. That will happen on Saturdays, starting 3rd of April. So all consecutive Saturdays and 7 p.m. we are going to have these 4 topics covered: root causes, nutritional deficiencies, gut health, and toxicity. So these 4 things we would be covering. After this, in the second and the third month, we would be having 4 bi-weekly educational sessions, which are topical in nature, meaning you decide what the topic should be, and Dr. Ashwini would thereby, deliver accordingly. Bi-weekly sessions. Now, all of these sessions, you will get the recording, so you don't have to worry about all of that. Alongside, all the support is going to remain continuous. So the 4-step process is pretty much about diagnosis, education, personalization, and having a continuous support. Now, Dr. Ashwini, please, if you can elaborate on this, what people can expect from this particular program.
So basically, it's all about improving the child, and some of these children can become absolute normal. Some cases we can help them improve their health, right? So most of the times we see these children malnourished, so their status of nourishment will improve after the program. If there are some concomitant issues like allergies, which is most of the time we see, gut issues, asthma, it will also resolve. Okay, their mood, anxiety, impulsiveness, aggressiveness, any other stereotypical behavior will start reducing, will start improving. Most of the time we see that sleep is another issue. The child is not able to get a solid sleep. Now, if we don't get enough solid sleep, we cannot really, repair mechanisms are taken for a toll. So sleep will improve. Their independence will they will be able to do their activities by themselves, right? And then their communication, which is a more of a problem into autism, socializing, communication, speech, this will also start improving into these children. So this is what we can expect. Now, it's all, don't think in terms of 0 to 1. Okay, we just has to start covering some ground. There should be some level of improvement, and if some level of improvements start coming into this 3 months, it can be from 20% to 60% to 80%. Then the parent will have more energy and effort. Even the child will start following what is being recommended to them. So this is the expectation in these 3 months.
Now, we do have an option for educators as well. There are a couple of questions which educators have asked me. So educators can look forward to 3 things: all these 8 classes. The second being, you also are a part of the same community and so on. So you get to learn from both the parents and doctors and so on in the group, and you see the results of what is getting effective, whether positive or negatively, etc. You get to learn everything from the group as well, and you also can bounce off a couple of ideas here and there with Dr. Ashwini as well. So you do have access to approach him through WhatsApp. So all of that is there. So talking about how the plan goes, the cost of the 3-month long program for all of that we have discussed is going to be 16,000 rupees. The overall cost is 20,000 rupees. Basically, if you break it up into 2 components, I'll explain that. This amount of 16,000 is applicable for the next 2 days. So next 2 days, if you are able to pay, if you are able to enroll yourself, then the cost is going to be 60,000. Otherwise, the full cost is 20,000 for the program. Now, if you buy in just for month 1 and you want to pay the next 2 months later, then month 1 cost is 8,000, but then that discounted offer would not be there. For month 2 and 3, the cost is going to be 12,000. Again, there is a 2-day sort of discounted, a 2-day leniency period for this discounted amount. If you can make the payment, I would urge you to ask your questions and do whatever is required as soon as you potentially can. For the educational part of the program, which I have discussed, the cost is 7,000 rupees. for the next 2 days. Otherwise, it is 10,000. So all the group sessions you get to be a part of course. And as I said, recordings and everything is obviously shared with all of you guys in case you miss or anything. And you get to be part of the WhatsApp group, as well as through WhatsApp you do have an access to Dr. Ashwini as well, to bounce off an idea or two here and there. The course is beginning on Saturdays. The treatment is deeply personalized, so you don't have to worry too much about the deadlines in terms of treatment part. But the first class is going to begin on a Saturday, which is going to be 7 p.m. So all classes on Saturdays for the first month. So that's how it is, how you can make the payment. All kinds of UPI methodologies are available, and there are bank transfer, credit, debit card transfers, and all of that. So you can access all of this. You can check out the website. If you go onto the website, the links would be shared in the group chat, I suppose. Can you please share Nidhi, can you please share the link in the group chat? So you can go into the website and you would see something like this. You can click onto the subscribe program option. You'll get all the options and you can go ahead and make the payments accordingly. So with this, I would want to open up the group. You can unmute yourself and ask the questions. Meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll start picking up. I'll just hold the screen for a little while for somebody taking a snapshot and whatnot. Sonia, you would get all the details in the WhatsApp group. Please be part of that WhatsApp group. If you're not, we'll share the links with you. And we are here to answer your questions. So I'll just pick up, Dr. Ashwini, I'll pick up a few questions.
So we can start from the top. I have opened it up one by one. I think we can just first this right chat box questions we can answer. So somebody asked, mother's health, maternal situation definitely can affect. Maybe the child don't have enough nutrition or some inflammation because of or some toxin. So basically, in the pregnancy, a mother can dump all the load on the child. This is the nature's way of doing it. Okay, it's not the mother's fault. But of course, if it is the case, we can also assess what is the situation for your child, and accordingly, we can sort of, if detox is required, if nourishment is required, if any other factors are required. Now, Nisha asked about they have found that the mitochondria is not working well, and she has some sunflower syndrome, which is a photosensitive epilepsy. Now, one thing to understand, this is sometimes science is also, we come up with the fancy names and terms and all that. We cannot be sensitive to sun, period. Okay. Only problem is if we don't build enough callus towards it. For example, if all of a sudden I rarely go under sun, for example, and all of a sudden one fine day I go stand under sun when sun is high, and I'm there for 2 hours, it will definitely affect me. Okay, but I have to build the callus. Okay, I have to start going for 5 minutes and 10 minutes, and see, for mitochondria, sunlight is just critical. Infrared light from the sun is one critical component for the mitochondria to work. Now, we can give all the support for the mitochondria, all sort of supplementation. If we don't get enough sunlight, that's one part of the problem. If we're giving a lot of artificial light to the mitochondria, it will damage the mitochondria. Now, if we don't take the cause of the problem out of the equation, we cannot expect the problem to get sorted. Okay, support, see, first is the environment. That is your sunlight, that is your artificial light, that is your EMS and EFM, all that. Second comes the food and the water. Third comes the supplementation. We cannot rely just on supplementation to support something which is caused by a third reason. Okay, so it's important that we understand. Now, functional medicine, so it's this now sometimes parents always have this question whether it is different from the biomedical and all that. We actually similar kind of things we do, but it's all the depth a practitioner can bring onto the table, okay, with the little experience that we have. So maybe similar. Then so on medication from this. Okay, so I need to know what is the damage. If you can share your reports, certainly I can assess and see if we are really able to help. Okay, now we, of course, in functional medicine we have our challenges. It's not that everything we can solve, but there are problems which are solvable and which we can solve.
So guys, you can unmute yourself and ask your questions directly as well. So my request is, Please ask your question.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Good evening. I am Pratyusha's father from Kolkata.
Yes, sir.
According to doctor, I have learned that hydration is necessary. Now I want to know what is the quality parameters of the water and how much amount of water should be given to the child.
Okay.
This
So-
is number one. And second thing I want to know, the medicines which will be given is natural or food supplement or neuropsychotic drugs.
Okay. Now, first, a good question. What kind of water? When we use the water from an RO filter, it loses the structure. And when water loses its structure, it is good for nothing. It becomes dead water. So good quality water should have a structure. It should be a structured water. It should be alkaline. It should not be acidic. Okay. And it should have some level of free electrons or hydrogen into it. Okay. That's a good quality water which can support hydration of the cell. Okay. Now we can drink the water. That water can flow into our blood. Whether it is rehydrating our cells is a questionable thing. So we really has to drink water which is alkaline, which is structured, which has hydrogen or free electrons into it. Okay. Now we generally use nutraceuticals. Nutraceuticals are food supplements. After testing, if vitamin D is low, vitamin B complex is low, magnesium is low, zinc is low. Now, focus is not only on the supplements. It's always correcting why there's a deficiency in the first place. Okay. Now, if some methylation problems or genetic SNPs are there, we can extra give some B9, B12 based on the need of it. Okay. So that can be. We don't use any pharmaceutical drugs because our body pharmaceutical drugs are good for a short term. They're good for acute problems, but they fail to address the problem in a long term. So we don't use any pharmaceutical drugs.
Hi, good evening. This is Amir Sal with you. Actually, I have some questions like whatever you have discussed during the program. You mentioned that it will be a completely natural food program and there will be no medicines involved. Then how we can control like sleeping problem and there's hyperactivity between the child.
Right. Okay. Now, one thing to understand, very critical, sir, sleep problem, which is common across this, especially ADHD group of cases. Why a child is not able to sleep? Because their circadian rhythm is disrupted, which means when we go under sun, we make melatonin, and that melatonin we use at night to sleep. Okay. So first thing we said, environment. We have to change the environment. If your child is not getting enough sunlight, then we have to make sure they get enough sunlight so that they have enough melatonin to sleep at night. That's one. Second, now circadian rhythm, basically the kind of light is falling onto our body. Our cells are making a decision whether it is a day or night. Simply light is the stimulus for that, for cells to make a decision. Now, if a child is always under artificial light, even after sun is down, if a child is under artificial light, his cells are getting a signal that it is a daytime. Now, when it is a daytime for the body, how will it sleep? So we have to change the environment to change his situation, to change his health.
Sir, actually,
Yeah, go ahead, Amir.
sir, actually I am from Kolkata. How will be the testings for the lags?
Right. So most of the time, when we are doing a blood sample, we are able to do a home sample pickups with the help of our lab partners. In some cases, we can also send a dry kit, okay, which is also we can get a lot of information out of dry kit. So both options are available. So should not be a problem with the testing part.
Hi, this is Sanjeev, doctor. Can you explain about what is gut microbiota, as you explain? And another question is what are the medicine, the functional medicine you will provide? It will be a syrup kind of, or how it will be?
Right.
How you can feed a baby? Suppose my son is a 2.5-year-old.
Right.
So how it will be?
Okay.
So I would like to expand on this question because this is a question which I get very often, is that, there are a lot of children who are not able to chew. So they are only able to swallow certain things.
Correct.
So having different kinds of medicines in a tablet and tablet in those kind of formats is a little tricky for a lot of parents.
Right, sir. So the microbiome, basically you asked the questions on. Now, as as per the new research that is coming up, we always, as a culture, as a science in India, we always knew it. Okay, but we were not explicit. But recently, it has been discovered that we are, as a human, we are more bacteria than humans. That means we have more bacterial cells than humans. Our stomach has lot of bacteria. Okay, it can be good and it can be bad. The combination of the kind of bacteria, fungi, viruses that are there, that is called microbiome. Oh, sorry, microbiota. The genetic makeup of that microbiota is microbiome. Okay. Now, in terms of the supplementation or in terms of this thing, so depending on the situation, if a child is very young, we generally can use a syrup form. Now, we don't use drugs. We only use, let's say, B complex is low. We can give them some sort of a B complex in the form of a syrup. If still some things are not available in India, okay, we can use a capsule form which can be diluted into water and given to the child. So we
So,
we will take,
how you can measure it, doctor? Like, is that certain testing you can do it? Like how you can control, or how this particular amount of microbiology or microbia, whatever
okay. Oh, yes, yes.
you will measure? Yeah.
Yes. Microbiome, we can certainly do a stool test and find out what sort of species are missing and what bad species are there. We can certainly measure it.
Okay. Suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suppose that medicine, whatever that functional medicine you are going to supply, you to feed. Suppose a person has some side effect in that. So those that call and everything, the treatment is virtual activity. So how we can react on that?
Okay, sir. So I think maybe let me make you more clear on certain things. We don't give, our focus is on not onto the supplementation or to the medicines. Okay, our focus is changing the environment. Now, kind of light falling onto us is changing the kind of bacteria into us. Okay, if we more under sunlight, we grow good bacteria into us. Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Second part, our focus after changing the environment is on the food. Now, kind of bacteria we grow based on the kind of food we eat. Okay, if
Mhm.
we eat a lot of diverse fibers into a diet, basically we always told that we have to eat fibers. Basically, fiber is a food to the bacteria. The kind of diverse fiber we eat, kind of diverse microbiome we can grow. As a consequence, our health can improve. Okay, this is where the primarily we have the focus. Second, in terms of using a probiotic, prebiotic, certain supplementation, it's very rare situations we can expect any adverse event, and these adverse event will also be very mild, just maybe allergic reaction. We cannot even expect any emergency calls in that scenario. So don't worry on any situations where you have to seek us immediately. This is a more of a chronic problem, and you don't need to rush to emergency with that treatment. So you rest assured in that way that we are sitting far away and we cannot take care of certain things.
Okay. One last question, doctor, because I think most of the people have that. Most of the ASD, autism spectrum disorder person, if you go to any neurologist or something, they will give certain of medicine to try, like omega-3 syrup, Ginkgovit, Neuro-M, or Dyrolac Jed sachet kind of. Okay. So it was also prescribed to my son also, but I am not at all giving anything to him. Okay. Apart from that, physiotherapy. Okay. For occupational therapy, he is doing it. Okay. So is that good to have continue those medicine, or will stop immediately?
Right, sir. So basically, we also use omega-3, but high quality. We can also use, see, basically, what we do after testing, we can check your serum levels of zinc, magnesium. If it is required, it is very much important to supplement them. We can also check your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, your all fatty acids into your blood. Generally, most of the cases, we see their omega-3 is low. And as a part of the protocol, we can feed them, and omega-3 is always good for the brain. Okay. Of course, in certain cases, if a parent is more interested, we can get their fatty acid profiling done, and accordingly, whatever is missing, maybe a blood test, maybe a fatty acid testing, based on that, whatever specifically missed. That is why we call it a precision medicine, right? We only feed what is needed. We don't feed unnecessarily.
Hi, this is Amir again. Actually, I have just few questions. Like my first question is, my daughter she's 3 years now, 3 years old now. But until 1.5 years, she was like okay, she's like normal behavior and everything is okay. And one thing I found only with her, like she's afraid of fire or something like that. Like on the first birthday, she's afraid of candle fire. So that is my first observation from her. And till now, it's like since 1.5 year, we diagnosed with the doctor and it is on medication. Same the previous guy said that it is COVID and omega-3, all those things. And since 1 year, she's on occupational therapy. But I found very little improvement in her. And I am just afraid of my younger son also. Like maybe he can also get this type of problems.
Right,
or
sir. So Amir, first thing you mentioned, she was okay till 1.5 years, then she started developing some. So basically, you see that the growth is good, and after that, you see there's a broad, some blocks into the growth. The way she should have a normal growth is not happening. Most of the cases, when we take the history, we always find that a child was doing normal, then something happened. Maybe a vaccination, maybe something else. There can be so many reasons, right? Now, for example, you have a car which has 4 tires. Okay, you fix 3 of the tires, but you still don't fix 1 of the tire. You still will have a poor performance of the car. Same with the body, right? You give omega-3, you give zinc. Maybe in some cases we find that zinc is high. If zinc is high, you still giving it will reduce the copper. Okay, so it has to be done precisely. It cannot be done randomly. Okay, so we need to know the levels of their nutrients or whatever it is, and accordingly. Now, nourishment is one key aspect into it, but there can be a toxin, there can be a poor digestive gut microbiome problem, there can be a toxicity from the blue light. There are multiple reasons of the problem. Okay, that is why one solution is not enough for these kids. We always have to look around, and whatever the possible reasons for it, we have to find, and accordingly we have to take action.
So the main thing is like you will go for the test for all those things, and you will come to know that what is the deficiency in that kid. And the second thing, like how much time it will take to recover, like for normal things, or at least for some changes we can see.
So basically, in the 40% of the cases, numbers can vary, but generally, this is a trend we see. Within a month, some level of improvement, maybe 10%, 20% improvement, we start seeing. And in 80% of the cases, within 3-month period, they start seeing improvement. Okay, now improvement can, from a scale of 10% to 80%, can vary in 3 months.
Actually, I'm in Oman now. So what about the medicines you are saying, the functional medicine?
Right, sir.
It can be delivered in Oman, or it should be only in
there is
India?
no functional medicine. Functional medicine is just a way to look at the problem. Now, in terms of the medicine, it's all about what is missing into her. Okay, it can be same zinc, it can be same omega-3, it can be same vitamin D, but we will thoroughly look into what is missing, and whatever the missing component, we will feed her. As a consequence, her body will start functioning better.
Doctor, I had a question. So my daughter she's diagnosed with autism, and that happened after vaccination, measles vaccination. Now we just went for the initial test, and they have not, surprisingly here the parents have told, they have told about medicines, but our doctor did not give any medicines and told to start off with because she can't speak, there's a delay. First she used to speak before the vaccine, then after that it stopped. So they have suggested this behavioral therapy and put her in a special school. So now I'm a bit worried, because your parents have spoken about those medicines as well. So if you could share some thoughts on that.
Right. So First, of course, I agree with you, Sonia, that many a times we see after vaccination there's a problem in the child. Okay, they were normal and it happened. Now, in terms of medicine, again, I'm saying there's no medicine required for the body. It just we have to correct make the right environment for it. Okay, we feed whatever missing into them. It can be omega-3, it can be vitamin B complex, vitamin B9, B12, whatever required, B6, B3, B1, B2, magnesium, zinc, selenium, chromium, vitamin A, vitamin E, whatever is missing as a, and most of the time you see their protein levels are low. Okay, they don't even have enough proteins. The hydration is low. Okay, so we really has to find what is the case in your child, and accordingly we have to prepare a very personalized treatment plan.
One more thing, actually, if you will take this program, so we have to continue with the occupational therapy, or we can leave it and we can just rely on this program only.
Right, sir. So like we mentioned, there are two kind of therapies. One is a outside therapy, one is a inside out therapy. Right now, external therapy are only useful when inside is good. But I would not say you do it or you don't do it. Okay, but I will not even stop you doing it. Okay, now if we can help, at the end of the day, goal is to help these children. But if our body is healthy, it can learn what is being taught to them. That will be more productive.
So my request to you all, just 1 second, many of you have not responded to the polls. Please do so. Whether you are interested or not, it would be better if we know, so that we can reach out to you and guide you if required, or we can stop bothering you, basically, in a way. Those of you who are having any interest, please drop your phone numbers. Again, for the same exact reason, we can potentially reach out to you and guide you accordingly. And we know that you need to be connected. So please do share your phone numbers with us. So there is two questions which I would want to take on everyone's behalf. Sorry, ma'am, I'm holding you. I apologize. So one was regarding RO water. A lot of people are talking about RO water specifically. The other question is about stem cell therapy.
Okay. RO water. So basically now, when the water is traveling to lot of holes due to the filtration process, now we certainly has taken out the viruses and bacteria by using UV and filtration and all that, and certain chemicals and certain things are cleared out. But in the process, the water has lost its structure. Okay, a good quality water has a structure of it, which is called a structured water. RO water is not structured water.
Can you please mute somebody's? I think it is disturbing. Can somebody mute?
Yes. So that's the thing about the structured water. There are simpler ways of doing it. There are expensive ways. Multiple things we can do. But of course, when we see, basically now, I don't want to give some random information, but I want to make you aware that water is a critical part, and it has to be good. And what was the second question, Ayush?
Stem cell therapy, and there is another one which is repeating again and again, which is autism and epilepsy.
Right. That's correct. Let's take this second question first. Now, I said neuroinflammation. Epilepsy is because of neuroinflammation. The same neuroinflammation is causing autism. Okay. Now, epilepsy or symptoms of autism or ADHD are the symptoms, are something that you can see. What is causing it is what we have to solve. And if we solve that, and most of the time, maybe 10% to 15, 20% of the cases, autism child might have epilepsy. Maybe severity can be different simply because of the neuroinflammation. Yes, this is connected. And third is stem cell therapy. I'm not expert on the stem cell therapy. I should not be talking too much on that. But you see, we as a human, we has come from two cells, one from a father and one from mother, and the two cells are able to make a human body. That means we have enough intelligence into our body or into our cells to make a good quality human being, a good quality human body which can function the way it should function in the society. That means there's nothing missing into us, right? It's only the environment which is causing us the trouble, and we have to work on the environment to solve the problem. Now, if we don't change the environment, if we if let's say you buy a new car, and you start feeding the bad fuel to the car, and the engine is broken. Now you change the engine, but you don't change the fuel. For some time, the engine will function well, but because you're feeding the bad fuel to it, eventually that new engine will also break down. So hope you can.
I can expand a little bit on stem cell therapy for my personal experience. So my brother is 35 years old. There's very little we can do about him now, but stem cell is something that we had tried, and basically it's a very experimental kind of a thing. My understanding is that it may work for maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5% percentage of people, but there is no irrefutable evidence that it is going to work for a larger populace, and how. So it's experimental.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Now there is some question. Sir, how we live in Calcutta, and TDS of our tap water is near about 106 with 75 hardness. How much water should be given to my daughter for hydration? Number one. Second number question is, hello.
Yes.
Second question is, the blood test which will be done, will be the samples will be collected by you, or we should test from the other laboratories like Dr. Lal Patlab or etc. And we'll send you the report.
Right. Both ways it can be worked upon. We can give you what is required for us, for our testing, for our information that is required, and then we can help you a samples pick up, or you can do it yourself. That should not be a problem. And in terms of water, I'm saying most of the time we have seen these children, and of course the amount of the water depend on the age and the height and the weight and all that, but when we ask the parent whether your child is drinking enough or not, they say he or she.
My daughter is about 4 years.
Right, sir. Maybe a 1.5 liter of liquid in a day, or 2 liters of liquid in a day should be enough. Okay, now liquid can be water, can be juices. Okay, now, but I'm saying sometimes these children are drinking more than what is required, and still their blood parameters are showing that they are dehydrated. So it's all about the quality of the water.
So there is a pretty long question for Mr. Amol Chavan. So I'll let you read it and respond.
শুনছো?
So basically now again, it's all boiled down to whether our body is equipped to handle the stimulus, whether our body is normal to develop new connections. When this is poor integration of the sensory processes, something is normal, right? That's what. So basically, I'm saying every function has to be done by the mitochondria. If either the mitochondria number is low or the mitochondria is dysfunctional, okay, how do we expect that we learn new things? How do we expect that our body is able to do the what is required for it to be doing? So symptoms can vary, problems can vary, but we have to find what is causing it. So functional medicine is all about, for example, somebody has a diabetes, let's say, right? Now diabetes have become an epidemic today, and we are told nothing can be done about it. Okay, in functional medicine, we look deeper why somebody has diabetes, and 80% of the cases we can help them reverse or make them free of diabetes just by changing the food or the lighting around them, the nutrition in them, just basic things. We help them reverse or make them diabetes free. Same is the case with this. It's not about what is the problem or what is the symptom. It's all about why it has happened in the first place. We have to find out, and we have to can treating epilepsy. So basically, epilepsy and autism are caused by the same problem. Now, treatment basically means removing the problem out of the equation. If we remove the problem, yeah, of course, both of things will be treated.
There is a question: depression during pregnancy, can it lead to autism?
Right. So basic now depression, again, there are reasons why somebody gets depressive. Of course, they can be emotional traumas, which can definitely affect the child. But most of the time, depression is lack of sunlight or overexposure to the artificial light. Okay. Now, because mother is feeding the child, mother is taking care of the child. If mother is not healthy, we cannot expect the child to be healthy. Right? This can definitely affect, but mother might not have a bigger problem simply because she's always under artificial light, she's always with a mobile phone, she's always with a laptop onto her lap. That can affect the child, that can make her depressive also. So in certain cases we can definitely help them get better.
Alongside, the child also was operated on the specific day he was born. The same person.
The child was
Operated.
okay, maybe for a very specific thing, if you can share more details, what was the operation and
Yeah. Hi. This is Priyanka. I
Hi,
only
Priyanka.
question. See what happened now. I was in the depression during the pregnancy, and after that, my child, he was operated on the day he born. He was diagnosed with diaphragmatic hernia. He had 6 inches hole in his diaphragm. So his development was normal till he was 1. मतलब एक साल तक उसका सारा डेवलपमेंट ये था, बट ही हैड मतलब अभी भी उसका स्पीच नहीं है, एंड ही वाज डायग्नोस्ड विद ASD जब भी वो 2.5 साल का हुआ. सो अभी वो 3.5 साल का है. हाँ, हम लोग उसका OT स्टार्ट किया है. OT से भी उसका मतलब है लाइक इतना इम्प्रूवमेंट नहीं है, बट थोड़ा इम्प्रूवमेंट है. लाइक उसका हाइपर एक्टिविटी जो था ना, वो कम हुआ.
Priyanka, most of the cases when surgery was done, he must have been on the antibiotics.
Yes.
Right.
For the 3 months, initial 3 months, he was on the antibiotic,
right.
And because of that, ना, he was not able to sleep, because कैसे होता है, बच्चा जब भी born होता है तो वो मतलब बहुत ज्यादा सोता है, right? But he was not able to sleep till the 12. He was not able to sleep. We literally tried to make him asleep, but he was not able.
Right, I get it, Priyanka. So I'm saying that antibiotics can kill the mitochondria. So basically, every cell has 500 to 5,000 mitochondria, and now research is becoming clear. Every mitochondria is actually a bacterial cell. When we take an antibiotic course, even one shot of antibiotic can kill our mitochondria.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So that might be because of the antibiotic, not because of surgery, but actually because of the antibiotic course that he was put onto. But just for acute situation, doctors has to use it. That is fine. But of course, we can improve the mitochondrial health. We can do certain things about it. And I'm sure, of course, after testing, we will have more details, what more should be done.
Actually, when I discussed with his doctor, so he said ki karke that medicine they have given to keep him active. Hello?
Keep him active in terms of antibiotics to keep active. That doesn't make sense. Of course, something else might have been given. I'm not sure about that then.
Okay. So
you can give a list of the things that were given to him. Say again, at the end of the day, what is required today? It's all that is the past part of the history now. 4 years back, he was done certain things. Now, what is the situation today? We have to assess, and accordingly, we have to take corrective actions.
Right. So there are 4 people who have their hands raised: Mr. Jabir Basha, Rakesh Ji, Runjhun, Nisha Singh. Whenever you are available, please unmute and ask your questions.
So, doctor, I have a question about it. Like you said that autism is nothing but it is just an inflammation in the body parts, and it can be anywhere in your body parts. So I don't know. I'm not sure how I will be able to give the blood samples of my daughter. But is there any way to check whether without
Which
testing the
which
where
country are you are you in, ma'am, currently?
USA?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. USA, in fact, it's probably the best in the world. So, we care about the numbers. We don't. You don't have to care about our lab partner specifically. So we only care about the numbers. You can go with your local lab and so on. We'll give you the test that needs to be conducted, and we only bother about the results basically. So
Okay.
test, yes. There's
Lab
not a problem.
in what you were saying?
In US, there are private labs where you can go and get yourself tested. Okay, so that should not be a problem.
Anyways, without testing the blood, I can check whether.
See, one thing to understand here is any health problem, especially autism, ADHD, and ASD, it's a multifactorial problem. There can be a toxin, there can be nutrition, there can be inflammation, there can be poor, let's say, thyroid function, let's say liver function. So more information I have, the more precise plans I can make for these children. Okay. Now I understand it is not easy as a mother to draw blood and all that, but you see, from a clinician point of view, I don't want to miss anything. Okay, I want to ensure that whatever in our capability we should be doing so that your child becomes healthy.
Hello, I have a question.
Doctor, which blood test you will suggest for my daughter? Because if I
so basically we start with the nutrition, we start with the toxin, we start with the organ function, we start with the inflammatory markers. Then this is the first level of things we do. Then we might need a fatty acid testing, might need organic acid testing, we might need a hair sample. So this is purely depends on the situation. After we assess your case, the child's case, we find the details in terms of signs and symptoms and history and all that. Based on that, we will be able to know. Some child might, with the one blood test, they are good to go. Some we have to dig deeper into it. So I cannot comment just into this webinar what specifically is required for your child.
Sure, doctor. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question, doctor.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so basically, I just wanted to know, is there a test that can determine mitochondrial dysfunction which is available in India? Because as far as I know, only MitoSwab, which is done in USA, is the only one, that determines it.
Right, right. Okay. Now India, okay. Yes, US has certain, more advanced tests available. In India, we have pretty much enough information. For example, serum pyruvate that can tell the mitochondrial health. Serum lactate can tell the mitochondrial health. 1 to serum creatinine ratio can tell the mitochondrial function. Vitamin D level itself can tell the mitochondrial function. So basically, we know even these tests are not even organic acid testing, which is also available in India nowadays. That
right.
We can get enough information based on certain tests to sort of predict.
Okay. And will the tests be included in the package, or are those separate?
That is separate, and purely that depends on the need of the child.
Okay, because I've got the oaths and other tests done 1 year back. So will that be okay, or will I have to go for further testing?
I think 1 year is a pretty long time. So
okay.
Because it's all about precision.
Right.
So we have to get another round of testing.
All right. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Actually, I want to ask that I have done ECG with my EEG for my son. He is 2.5, 2.5 year old. You can say.
Right.
Yeah. And so the doctor said there are some kind of waves in that EEG. So he has suggested to start a medicine for like seizures, you can say. So is it helpful to, is it fine to start at such a low age? Because I have never seen any symptoms as such, like any symptoms of seizure. I cannot diagnose that. But yes, because EEG says this. So he's suggested to start because he has speech delays. He is 2.5 years old, and he is only saying, he's not saying many meaningful words. Only what I have seen after we were staying in Mumbai. So now here I am in Allahabad in my native house. So here are many people. So some difference I have seen in him. He's like now he can say if he wants to go to susu, then he says
Right, right, right. I get it. Runjhun,
and
I
something
get your
like this.
question.
But
See,
not
basically,
very.
no, ECG is finding there is a problem. Now, why there is a problem is what we have to figure out.
Okay.
Okay. Now, for example, let's just to make it a little more simpler. For example, you have a pressure cooker on your stove, and the fire is on, which is causing inflammation, right? You can keep the pressure onto the vessel for some time. Eventually, it will bust, right? So same is your drug case. There's let's say some waves which might be predicting towards epilepsy and all that. You can suppress the inflammation for some time, but same inflammation, if you keep suppressing in the brain, will start showing the symptoms somewhere else also, because that's body's way of telling. Symptom is the body's way of telling something is wrong, and don't get into suppressive mode of it. Why there's inflammation in the first place? You have to start finding that and start working on that. I cannot answer specifically on the drug part because that's a clinician perspective. Okay, I might think differently, the guy might be thinking differently. At the end of the day, we have to find how to do the best for the child. Okay, so every doctor is thinks differently. So with the due respect to them, if it is required a drug for a short period, yes, it can be used.
Okay, okay, he said 1.5 to 2 years you will need to continue the drug maybe. And but another thing I want to know, is epilepsy connected with autism or something like this? Because I don't understand what is basically what are the signs, what are something. But yes, he has speech delays.
Right. So I think let's answer this question again. 15 to 20% of the cases, they have a comorbidity, which is autism and also epilepsy.
Okay.
It's the inflammation of the brain causing both of these conditions. And when inflammation becomes severe, it turns into epilepsy. Now, epilepsy can be severe to mild to moderate, and depending on the kind of symptoms. So yes, they are connected because they're caused by the same problem.
Okay. Okay. Sir, can I actually from last 1 month I've contacted Ayurveda doctor for it, for speech delays, not for epilepsy at all, because I didn't knew about it. So I have been giving him this Ayurvedic medicines from last 1 month, and he was saying that like whatever you have talked about gut bacteria and all, he also said that he has, because of this gut bacteria and all these things like liver function, did not used to have normal potty, you can say, normal liver functions. So
Right.
that is why he said that it is the main cause that babies don't listen to you, or they have speech delays because the brain function is not normal. So is Ayurveda helpful for speech?
Okay, I think this I mean your guy is taking talking the same sense. Yes, he's on the same lines. Yes, uh, only difference is the level of depth that we get into the problem. Okay, so I'm not sure how depth this guy has gone into it. If he's doing the right things, what I talked about is also addressing all those things, then it is good. If he's missing on to certain points, maybe we'll not be able to do justice to treatment or for the child. So that you have to decide. I cannot decide for that doctor. As a mother, now what I'm doing, I have put in front of you. Okay. Now what that guy is doing, that is also in front of you. You can decide. It's nothing is wrong. I'm telling you, at the end of the day, if a practitioner, doesn't matter from what field, if they're addressing what is the problem, what is causing it, and they're solving it, we're good to go.
Okay, sir, actually, I want to know one thing. If I want to connect and if I want to start your treatment, actually, I missed half of the session. So,
You will have the recording for it.
Okay, so how will we have to connect to you, or what are
You will
you?
get the information in the group.
My name is Ayush, ma'am, and I'm sharing my phone number in the chat, so you can get in touch with me. So my number for those of you who want to note down, please. I'm hope like
This is Ayush, right?
Ayush.
You are Ayush, right? Okay. Ayush, actually, I want to know one more thing. Actually, this
Yeah, go ahead. So my number is 9717 333 655. For those of you who are noting down, 9717 333 655. Ayush.
okay. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. You can collect samples in Allahabad as well, Allahabad, Uttar Pradesh.
Yes, most likely, yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So, if I want to go for with you your treatment and all, I need to connect according to the session, whatever you have talked about in the session, right? Those whatever you have mentioned, I will go accordingly, right?
Sure.
I have to talk to Ayush first, and then we can work on it. Okay.
If you have any queries, you reach out to me. If you're having no further queries and you want to join the program, we'll be sharing a bunch of information in the groups that you are a part of. You can access that. We are sharing information in this group chat as well to help you enroll yourself. And any which way, you have my number to reach out. Yeah, yes, Amir, I am on WhatsApp with the same number. Don't worry. I do, for those of you who are in UAE and all of that, the same number is also on Kaizala. So you can connect with me on Kaizala as well.
So Anita has asked, her daughter is 18 years old, and from the beginning there's a constipation, and still the child has constipation. Now you see, constipation is an inability to pass the stools, right? Now stool formation is one critical aspect. If you don't have the good microbiome, the bacteria which form the stool, that is one part of the problem. Second part of the problem, now intestines are a muscle, right? They also need the strength. If, let's say, we don't have enough proteins into our body, we don't have enough magnesium, vitamin D into our body, that also can cause constipation, right? Now if our system is constipated, we are constantly getting a lot of toxins into our body. How do we expect our brain to function well, right? Then this leads to a lot of overgrowth of the fungus and the bad bacteria. Then more toxins keep accumulating. So there's always a possibility, doesn't matter what is the age, there's always a possibility to improve the child's health. Now whether the complete, they will have 100% recovery or 80% recovery or 70% recovery, that purely depends on how deep is the problem and how much we are able to do about it. Okay, there are multiple variables to it, but at the end of the day, if we do it, we can bring about levels of improvement, and you can visibly see it.
Okay, so there is a question from Vaishali. Daughter is 4.5 years old, hyperactive, few words, can't even understand, differentiate between mother and father and all of that. She started OT. There is some improvement, some eye contact. And Vaishali, would you want to expand on this? Do you want to say something? You can unmute and ask yourself. Mr. Amir, if you want, you can unmute yourself. And yes, you can reach out to me. And ask.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, Vaishali.
I am Vaishali. She is 4.5 years old. She is having that less eye contact, and so now she is sitting from, I think so, past 2-3 months. She is sitting like the W shape. So any issue is there? She is sitting W shape, and for that, she is sitting W shape. Then her foot is that inward. Means she is walking, no, that foot is not probably walking. That's why, ma'am, sir.
So basically, if there's an anatomical problem, you have to check with maybe orthopedician and all that. But if just the movements are different, anatomically there's no issue, but just the movements are different, or she's just turning the feet inside or whatever. Those things, some level of improvement in the behavior we can help them to get the because
Means,
when the
Okay.
when their
Most of the
brain,
parents are speaking no that they can't sleep. She is sleeping nicely. She is eating everything, fruits, all vegetables, and everything she is eating. She is not having any digestion problem and all that. And then also she is having autism problem. How then?
right, right, it's a good question. I repeat myself, there are multiple issues behind a problem. Okay, food is one problem. uh, Gut digestive health is another problem. uh, uh, Nutrition deficiency is another problem. Heavy metal toxicities is another problem. Very, very important is the environment. Okay, if your child is all overexposed to the phones, if your child is overexposed to a TV, if your child is overexposed to a laptop, artificial lighting, electronics around them, even if a mobile tower around your area, okay, just in a 200 meter vicinity, that mobile tower can also cause a damage to your child. If your child not getting enough sunlight, that is another part of the problem. So because it's a multifactorial problem, we really has to dig deep into the issue.
Okay. And now I have started last month that OT. They
uh,
have using the side that lights are there. I think so that silent lights and all that lights are there, and they are for OT therapy. They are using that lights
I
for
think
the
no.
child is.
See, I tell you, Vishali, one thing to understand. Okay, when the light has come to our society, from that day, issues have increased into the society in terms of health. Okay. Second part, it is science is becoming more clear, but we always knew, intuitively that we also used light to make either we can use light to make an ATP and energy for us, or if we don't use the right light for us, it can be dangerous to us. Okay, now just for the purpose of focusing the child, and not, they're using different light, but different light will have different wavelength, and certain wavelengths are not good for us, period. There is no discussion on that. Blue light is a major toxicity which is causing a damage to the mitochondria as a consequence. Now we give certain stimuli to improve certain things, but at the end of the day, if that stimulus is doing a damage to the mitochondria, overall health will deteriorate. So that's also important. As a parent, you should be aware what is right for them, what is wrong for them, and then you do the right things. That is why this elaborate session, to help you understand what potentially the right things to do.
Amir, can you unmute yourself? It's a little difficult to answer. I may be misinterpreting what you're trying to communicate. If you can unmute yourself and ask directly, please.
Yeah, actually, sir, my question is like my daughter nurse is on homeopathy medicines and occupational therapy also parallelly. So once we'll include in that program, so it will be like homeopathy medicines and occupational therapy both can be stopped, or we can stop only homeopathy medicine. We can rely on this program. And the second thing, actually, I'm here in Oman and my family is in India now because of this current situation. So here it is very difficult to get that occupational therapist, and it's very difficult to go every day because here I'm working here also. So can I be rely only on this program, or we have to search for that occupational therapist also here?
Right. So again, sometimes, see, basically now we have to understand most of the children that are there. We when we were children, okay, I don't think that we always required any special attention or special education, or we just pick up things from the family, pick up things from the society, and start learning, right? So it is not important that we have to have an external therapy. If we fix inside, our body is capable enough to solve its own problems, and to do the to start developing the way it should happen, right? So it's not always necessary. We don't want parents to take it in a wrong way that therapies are bad. They definitely do some good to them, but if we fix it from inside, then sometimes we don't even need external outside treatments.
Actually, sir, what I can say, like she can say like she can say to like A to Z, and she can say all the words from A to Z, and she can understand the colors, and she can tell you the all color name, and animals name, and fruits name, and vegetable name. But she cannot say like basic word like she needs some food. If she needs some food, she will means she will just push someone to that kitchen or something like that.
Like,
If she
this is
need
a common.
water, she will bring the glasses.
This is
But she is
common.
not saying like basic words, like she is going for the toilet, or she needs some peeing or water.
So I'm
She
sure,
just doing
Amir,
the
this is
peeing
common
from
in the
standing.
in this kind of disorder. This is common. This kind of behaviors. Certainly, I'm sure if you follow what is being recommended, our way of doing is quite holistic. Okay, from the environment to the food to the nutrition to the detoxification to the microbiome, we do a lot of things. And I'm sure if you follow what is being recommended, there's no way that your child will not improve.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right. So, Mr. Jabir, you have your hands raised. If you're there, please ask your question, unmute yourself. Others, please respond to the polls if you haven't responded yet. Share your phone numbers if you have interest. I'm again sharing my phone number with you guys. My name is Ayush. My number is 9717-333-655. Can I have can you please type in yes if you have clearly understood what the program is all about and how the treatment is going to be? And please type in no if there are still some queries pending on the program itself, how the program is supposed to be. So if there are any queries on program, then please type in yes, no. And if you're absolutely clear about the program, then please type in yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, what will be the cost of the blood testings? That is the vitamin 12, vitamin complexes, zinc, count, chromium, etc. Whatever you say.
First level blood testing might cost you to 4 to 4.5K.
Sir? Pardon?
4-4.5 रुपए कॉस्ट ब्लड टेस्ट का आ जाता है. उसके बियॉन्ड अगर कुछ और टेस्ट कराना है, that will be different. Of course, after we assess the signs and symptoms of each child, we have to sort of recommend what is required for them. We generally start with at least 130 to 140 parameters.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question.
Will be excluded from the package 20,000 or 16,000?
16,000 is the package. So एक बारी मैं वो आप लोगों को बता देता हूँ प्रोग्राम के बारे में. प्रोग्राम में क्या क्या है in short and quick, basically summary. 2 parts, treatment and community part. So we do a case and the treatment is completely personalized between you and the doctor. Fill in a info sheet, draw a case sheet, आपसे discussion होगा, testing होगी, plan of action बनेगा और फिर आपको explain किया जाएगा क्या exactly करना है in terms of diet and nutraceuticals and other inputs that those of which are necessary. Then we begin implementation. Your support is also required so that you continuously keep sharing information about the child and so on. Month 2 and 3 is about realignment. और जो भी हमने प्रोग्रेस करी है उसको रीअलाइन करना है, एक बार समझना है कहाँ तक बढ़े. लगातार आपके पास में सपोर्ट रहेगा. Educational part, there are 8 classes, 4 of which happen in the first month on Saturday 7 p.m. You get the recording and all. Bi-weekly sessions होंगे month 2 और month 3 में, जिसके topics आप लोग decide करोगे. Again, इन सारी चीजों में there are several gains as we have discussed. We have been discussing that you can expect. Cost of the program for the next 2 days is 16,000 rupees for the entire 3-month thing. But you can go for 1 month, try it out, understand whether it is working for you or not, and so on. But then if you go for 1 month, then the next 2 months are going to be at the full price, which is 12,000. So it would be 20,000 for you. So that's the price breakage. If there are people, and there are several who have indicated their interest, learning के लिए, केवल सीखने के लिए आना चाहते हैं, then the price for you is 7,000 rupees for the next 2 days. Program 3 तारीख से शुरू हो रहा है, 3 अप्रैल से.
Mr. Ayush, just one question. This medication and everything will be included in the package or not? And the second thing, like this program will start just immediately after this program taken, or it will take some time? Because if it's required, then I want to start as soon as possible.
3 तारीख से प्रोग्राम शुरू हो रहा है सर, 3 अप्रैल से। प्राइजेस की बात हुई तो the tests and medication are additional to this cost.
Okay, okay.
And I had a question now. This program, because in my company I can reimburse for any medical therapies for my child. But you know, since your program, I don't know if it's called as Yellow Squash program or something, or will it clearly mention that this will be, because my daughter has autism? Will it be clearly mentioned that it's a, you know, a medical program for you know, this autism and all
It
that?
will mention clearly that it's a medical program. It will mention it'll have a description of what we. So if there is a format that your company requires, you can share the format with us and we can help you get there. Any other questions from anyone? Otherwise, Mr. Arvind, do you have a question?
Yeah, Doctor, may I ask a question, please?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So during the online sessions and all, will you be teaching us some therapies or some techniques we can implement for our kids?
So basically now this is an inside out treatment. Okay. In the sessions we'll cover in detail. I mean, of course, a lot of information we already covered, but we will talk a little more into detail. What is gut health? What are the right food? What are the bad food? What are the things that you can do? How do we detox the system? Why it is important to detox the system? Okay. Why certain radiations is bad, why certain is good? So we will talk about those details, why there's a problem in the first place. Now, we will not getting into the details of what therapies and all. And now therapies, anyways, all parents are in some ways are doing it. Okay. This is something new, which most of us are not doing. And this is what we want to offer, which is unknown, wherein we don't even know why there is a problem. It's all about finding the reason and solving. And as parents, you will understand the importance of it. Now, sometimes if I tell you, okay, don't give your child more gluten, okay, you might be confused. I have been eating gluten, you know, why my child should not be eating gluten today? I will give you explanation in the detail in the session why gluten is bad today. Those kind of things that you will as a parent understand the importance of each aspect of, you know, detoxification, food, light, water, those details we get into more detail.
So you get the PDF in the group as well, and it has been shared in the group chat, I suppose. No, it hasn't been. We'll share it here as well, and also in the group you would get it. Oh, don't worry about it. Now, is there anybody who has not responded to the polls? There are a bunch of you. There are about 15 of you who have not responded to the polls yet. So those who haven't, please do so. It'll make our effort lesser. And I suppose this is not too much to ask after putting in the efforts. If you can just click onto a small little button and indicate whatever your interest is, and do share your phone numbers with us. Again, I'm again and again reiterating, because it's easier to contact you then. And, you know, whosoever has interest, we can reach out to them first, and then, you know, help them understand a little better as to, you know, whatever their challenges or questions or queries may be. Where is your physical presence in case, so your clinic, sir?
Bangalore. We are in Bangalore.
So, doctor, I know this is not your area, but I'm asking a question about acupressure.
Right.
So I have heard that these acupressure also helps these kids a lot. So anything, if you can comment on this.
Absolutely. Acupuncture, acupressure will certainly, because it's always, see, there's a physical body, there's also a non-physical body, which is called energy body. Okay. So both physical and non-physical has to be in sync so that the body can function well. Acupressure and acupuncture both can be useful, both can be helpful. But again, at the end of the day, see, basically it's all about, you know, let's again understand in a very simplistic way. If you have a car and you feed bad fuel to it, okay, the part of the problem is always there, then you keep doing the overhauling, you keep taking for frequent servicing. Now servicing can be acupressure, it can be acupuncture and any line of treatment. But if we don't stop the problem, then we have to do it multiple times and we might not even get the complete outcome. But as a therapy, definitely it is it's useful.
So I'm interested in your future. If in any case you are, for acupressure, if you're bringing someone, I mean, to be so.
Yes, see, acupressure and acupuncture are more of a physical. There need to be physical presence. Okay, we can definitely suggest you a right, a right person for it. But again, you have to be physically present. Maybe and I'm in Bangalore. You might be in some part of the world or some other part of India. That needs a lot of travel and all that. Okay, so. Because it's very important in these therapies, a practitioner should observe themselves. Where do they find the blocks of energy, and where do they need to press the, or puncture the body? So
Okay, so Mr. Jabir, your hand is still raised. If you're there, then please ask your question. You're already unmuted. Others, we are actually closing the session now. So we are very thankful for your time. There are a few, again, response and phone numbers is what I'll ask to make my job a little easier. We will reach out to you. Those of you who have shared your phone numbers and such, we will reach out to you and we'll answer any and every of your queries, if at all, and would help you make the right decision. Whether it is for the program or even against it, it doesn't really matter. Point is the child should get benefited to in the right way, in the most probable way, and with the right sort of assets and tool, and go on to the right path too. Hopefully at the end of the day, we are trying to give your child the hope that every child deserves to be absolutely himself or herself. So with that, I hope we talk soon and we talk at length and we, join hands together to make your child a little better in every possible way. With this, good night and goodbye from our end, from Yellow Squash. Dr. Ashwini, would you want to say a few words before we end? Or?
Maybe a little. So basically now as a parent, what is the takeaway? We talked about the takeaway. Stop giving your child processed food. Stop giving your child junk food. Stop giving wheat, dairy, sugar, refined oils. Get them enough sunlight. Avoid artificial light after sun is down. Avoid all sort of gadgets around them. Just doing this simple exercise, you will find lot of improvement without even doing anything. Okay, if we do a lot of things, certainly we can improve them, but just doing what I mentioned, it will bring a lot of good to them.
All right. With those words of wisdom, and I'm sure that the program has been helpful to most of you, and would love to talk to you again. Good night. Namaste. Bye.
Thank you so much. This program is really very helpful.
Thank you. Thank you.